Hello gamers, developer CD Projekt Red hit a jackpot with their open-world action role-playing, and several years after the release, it is still being talked about. Unfortunately, there are no new The Witcher games on the horizon, so one has to find other titles to get a fix of monster hunting, open-world exploration, and dramatic stories. Finding games like The Witcher 3 is difficult, as no RPG comes even remotely close to what this game has to offer. Players who have completed The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt can try out these similar titles if they want to go through another action-packed experience. So without wasting any time, let's get started. Number 10. Horizon Zero Dawn. With its recent arrival on PC, there are even fewer reasons to avoid playing Horizon Zero Dawn. If hunting unnatural creatures in a beautiful open world is what you're looking for, Horizon Zero Dawn has that in spades. Although set in a post-apocalyptic science fiction world, rather than a deliberately anachronistic fantasy one, there are enough features that can be of interest for a The Witcher 3 enthusiast. Instead of a grizzled monster hunter Geralt, you're playing as Aloy, a young woman trained in hunting robotic animals and turning them into useful parts. The story involves investigating what's causing many robots to become actively aggressive and attack human settlements. During her journey, Aloy will discover crucial information about the past of the world she lives in and more. Number 9. Divinity Original Sin 2. Whilst being a strictly top-down experience, fans of old-school RPGs and tabletop enthusiasts who are looking for a bit more depth in systems than The Witcher 3 should rush to Divinity Original Sin 2. As well as being able to play 4-player drop-in drop-out co-op with your friends, you'll find yourself in a vibrant world full of interesting characters and, most importantly, impeccable writing. Larian is a studio full of world builders and true storytellers who understand how to weave a 50-plus hour-long narrative without making it drag, a shared skill with the fine folks at CD Projekt Red. Number 8. Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor. High fantasy settings are a dime a dozen in video games, and it can be quite challenging to select a game that does justice to its setting. Thankfully, Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor manages to evade this problem, since its setting is already as established and legendary as can be. It certainly helps that the game is extremely fun to play, with the visceral combat being an absolute blast in every sense of the word. People who play Shadow of Mordor will definitely have an extremely positive and enjoyable experience indeed. Number 7. Red Dead Redemption 2. At first glance, the Wild West setting is far from The Witcher's lands of the fantastique. However, both invite you to slow down and soak in a world that's crafted to be observed. Rockstar Games seems to have taken a page of CD Projekt Red's book. For the first time in the series, your actions will have consequences. Red Dead Redemption 2 does what Witcher 3 did, but better. Apart from a riveting storyline that keeps you hooked for over 50 hours or so, you can partake in side quests like hunting, playing poker, and fishing. If you want to see and do everything this game has to offer, prepare to invest at least 100 hours into it. This game has set the bar for other RPG games to come, dethroning The Witcher 3 and becoming the king of the RPG kingdom. It will take some doing to better this epic title. Number 6. Dragon Age Origins. This medieval powerhouse came at the seemingly bridge period between BioWare's considered golden age and its more modern style. You roll through the game with an ever-expanding team of colorful characters, solving supernatural disputes and partaking in a kingdom's political intrigue. As opposed to controlling a character like Geralt in a more traditional action style, Dragon Age has an additional tactical layer. Allowing players to pause the action, get a bird's-eye view of the field, and delegate commands to their chosen characters adds a strategic edge to each engagement. Number 5. Dragon's Dogma: Dark Arisen. This cult classic fantasy game, developed and published by Capcom in 2012, largely went under the radar when it initially released. However, the newer expanded version of Dragon's Dogma named Dark Arisen has been gradually making its way to current platforms, helping the next generation of players experience its RPG delights. Differentiating itself from other fantasy action games of its ilk is the pawn system, which allows you to recruit avatars created by other real-world players to find alongside you. Anyone that loves The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt is sure to find battling through the grim dark world of Granseas similarly enthralling, not least once you master the game's hack and slash combat and grab mechanic that can even see you right on the backs of enemies. Number 4. Mass Effect 2. Much like The Witcher, it took a couple attempts before Mass Effect hit its stride, with its second installment acting as the series' torchbearer. Its setting is a world you could get lost in, with the sheer amount of memorable side characters with engrossing backstories that fill out the cosmic universe. Even having much of its post-release content being on par with, and sometimes surpassing, the base game. Through the adventure, players can see their impact on the world, steering the story much like what's afforded in The Witcher. The story plays out like a galactic opera, with the future of the universe in question. Trekking between the stars, taking equal parts action and diplomacy to assemble a specialized crew, all in service of setting up and executing the perfect space heist. Mass Effect 2 is one such game that is a must-play for anyone who was invested in the story of The Witcher 3. Number 3. The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. While it's hard to imagine there still being anyone yet to have delved into Skyrim's many mysteries, it is in many ways the perfect companion piece to CD Projekt Red's magnum opus thanks to its slew of varied questlines, engrossing story and infinitely beautiful landscapes. The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim continues to stand the test of time and be ported to pretty much every platform because there is so much to do and see, and being able to choose how to do it is never dictated by the game but by yourself. Will you venture underground to take up vampiric duties or master the ways of the wizard? The choice is yours. Number 2. Dragon Age Inquisition. Dragon Age Inquisition is much more outwardly cheesy than The Witcher, but underneath the high fantasy facade there is a story dealing with some issues that The Witcher does too. Discrimination of non-humans, war between religious fundamentalism and magic users, and a foreign power trying to get a foothold in the continent. Of course the gameplay is very different, team-based and relatively tactical, with active pause, but Dragon Age Inquisition has dramatic storytelling, quite a few beautiful locations, and a grand scope of events. Number 1. Thronebreaker: The Witcher Tales. Thronebreaker is a single-player role-playing game set in the world of The Witcher that combines narrative-driven exploration with unique puzzles and card battle mechanics. Crafted by the developers responsible for some of the most iconic moments in The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, the game spins a truly regal tale of Meve, a war veteran and queen of two northern realms, Lyria and Rivia. Facing an imminent Nilfgaardian invasion, Meve is forced to once again enter the warpath and set out on a dark journey of destruction and revenge. I went into the game expecting a simple deck-building puzzle game and got a phenomenally crafted story that has you make some difficult decisions. Overall, this is not a game about Gwent, cards management, deck building, etc., but rather a beautiful and masterfully crafted extension to the Witcher stories that adds so much to the game world. It refreshes and expands all those exciting things that you liked in the Witcher games. That's all for today. Thanks for watching the video. And if you find the video interesting, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.